Usually when we pull a dossier on a spiritual figure, I sort of know what to expect. We get the tropes.
Right, the usual stuff.
You know, the gentle smiles, the miracles, the wise old man sitting under a tree dispensing nice advice.
Mm.
But I've been going through the research we have today on Ramana Maharshi, and this feels different.
Very different. It's jarring, actually.
Yeah, jarring is the word. It feels less like a biography of a teacher and more like a medical case study of a biological anomaly.
That is exactly how I would describe it. If you look at the medical reports, the eyewitness accounts, and the raw data we have here, calling Ramana a guru feels, well, it feels insufficient.
Okay, so what would you call him?
Based on the evidence in the source material, he was what you might call a biological singularity.
Okay, that's a heavy term. A biological singularity. What does that actually mean in this context?
It means that at age 16, this perfectly normal athletic kid undergoes a specific physiological event. And after that event, the person, the psychological ego, the thing that says, I am Venkataraman, was permanently deleted. For the next 54 years, he functioned as a living void. He walked, he talked, he cooked, but the driver was gone.
And that's our mission for this deep dive.
Yeah.
We aren't here to chant mantras or get misty-eyed. We are stripping away the hagiography.
The fluff.
Yeah, the fluff.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the brutal reality of his early years. And when I say brutal, I mean vermin eating his flesh, the specific algorithm he taught to hack the ego, and the controversial end of his life.
And we have to start with the source material itself. This isn't just devotional literature. We have accounts of legal battles, family disputes, and medical logs from his cancer treatments. It's a brutal truth file.
So let's go back to 1896, Madurai, India. We have a teenager named Venkataraman. To me, the most shocking thing in the notes is how incredibly average he was.
Right. I expected a prodigy.
Me too.
But he was completely unremarkable. He wasn't a scholar. He didn't know Sanskrit. He was jock, essentially. Sturdy, loved football, didn't care about school. He had no spiritual inclination whatsoever.
But there was that one weird thing.
Ah, yes. There was one weird glitch in his physiology.
The sleep thing.
Right. Abnormally deep sleep. His friends could literally drag him out of bed, beat him, play drums in his ear, and he wouldn't wake up.
So his nervous system had this massive, unusual capacity for total shutdown.
Exactly, which kind of foreshadows what happens in July 1896. He's sitting alone in his uncle's house, no trigger, no trauma, no tragedy, and suddenly... Terror. A sudden, violent, overwhelming conviction that he is going to die right now.
Now, hold on. If I'm 16 and I think I'm dying, I'm screaming for help. I'm calling a doctor. I'm panicking.
Exactly. That's the normal biological response, fight or flight. But Venkataraman does something that I think distinguishes the mystic from the psychotic. He doesn't panic outward.
He pivots inward.
He pivots inward. He thinks, okay, if I'm dying, let's see what happens. What does it mean to die?
He turns it into a science experiment.
Dramatization, yeah. He lies down on the floor, holds his breath, stiffens his limbs to mimic rigor mortis. He completely simulates a corpse, and he asks a very specific question.
Which was, now that this body is dead.
Am I dead?
And this wasn't just him thinking the words, right, like an intellectual debate.
No, and that's the crucial distinction. He was looking for the sensation. He realized that while the body was dead and the mind was silent, the sense of I, the awareness itself, was just blazing. It was completely untouched.
Wow.
And in that split second, the link between Venkataraman, the person, and that awareness was severed.
And it didn't come back.
Never. The fear vanished. The personality vanished. The sage was born. The boy Venkataraman effectively died on that floor.
Okay, but here is where the story gets gritty. Usually someone gets enlightened and they start preaching or write a book. Ramana just left.
He left a note saying he was going in search of his father, meaning God, and arrived in Tiruvannamalai at the holy hill of Arunachala. And this is where the renunciation stops being poetic and starts being, frankly, disturbing.
The Patala Lingam. I read this section 3 times because I couldn't believe it.
I know. He goes to the Great Temple, but he doesn't sit in the main hall. He crawls into this underground vault called the Patala Lingam.
Describe it for us.
It's dark, damp, and unused. And the description here, I mean, he sits in samadhi, total absorption, for weeks. But his body is still biological. It's still meat.
That's the horror of it.
Right. Local kids were throwing stones at him because they thought he was a madman. So he retreated further into the dark. Insects, ants, and vermin began to infest the damp floor. They literally started eating the flesh of his skies.
And he didn't move.
He didn't even feel it.
See, I have to play devil's advocate here. How is that enlightenment? To a modern listener, that sounds like a catatonic state. It sounds like mental illness. How can you be eaten alive and not notice?
It's a fair question, and the difference is the internal state. In catatonia or psychosis, there is usually chaos or just dullness. In Ramana's case, he described it later as a state of intense, blissful awareness.
So he wasn't suppressing the pain.
He simply wasn't there to receive the signal. The wires connecting the eye to the physical sensations were cut. Locals eventually had to physically drag him out because he was literally rotting.
This leads to the cave years. He moves up the hill, stays silent for years. But then, the real world crashes back in. 1916. His mother finds him.
Alagamol, and this is a crucial pivot point in the narrative. In most monastic traditions, if your mom shows up, you send her away. You've renounced family.
But Ramana doesn't do that.
No, he allows her to stay.
Which changes the dynamic entirely. It goes from hermit in the cave to weird household in the cave.
Exactly. He starts cooking for her. He nurses her. It demonstrated that his renunciation wasn't about physical distance. It was internal. He could be a dutiful son on the outside while remaining absolute void on the inside.
And because people started gathering around this household, they started asking questions. How do we get what you have? And he gave them this technique, Atmavichara,
Self-inquiry.
which is probably the most misunderstood technique in the history of spirituality.
I think so too.
Most people hear, "Who am I?" and think it's a mantra. You just sit there and say, "Who am I? Who am I?" over and over until something magical happens.
And Ramana was very clear, that is useless. Repetition is for the mind. This is about dissolving the mind. It is not a mantra. It is a hacking algorithm.
So let's break this down for the listener, because I've tried this, and usually I just end up thinking about what I want for dinner.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting here and let's say I'm stressed about, I don't know, a deadline, how do I apply this algorithm?
Okay, let's walk through the steps from the dossier. Step 1 is the anchor. You have to realize that the stress, the thought, I'm going to miss this deadline, doesn't exist in a vacuum. It is attached to a thinker.
It's sticking to an eye.
It's sticking to an eye. The thought isn't the problem. The eye having the thought is the problem.
Okay.
So step 2 is the pivot. As soon as that thought arises, you don't engage with the deadline. You don't try to solve it mentally. You turn 180 degrees and ask, to whom does this thought occur?
And the answer is obviously to me.
Right. And that triggers step 3, the inquiry. You immediately ask, who is this I? From where does this feeling of me arise?
And this is the trap, right? Because my brain wants to say, I am the host, or I am a stressed person.
Exactly. If you answer with words or memories or labels, you've failed. You've stayed in the mind. Step 4 is the holding. You use the question like a flashlight.
A flashlight.
Imagine a flashlight that usually shines out on the world. Now you're trying to turn the light physically inward to hunt for the source of the flashlight itself.
You're hunting for the location of the eye.
Yes. You hold on to the feeling of me and you trace it back. Ramana actually gave a specific location for this, which sounds, well, strange to modern anatomy.
Yeah, the heart on the right side.
He called it the hridayam. He said the spiritual heart is not the physical pump on the left. It is 2 digits to the right of the center of the chest.
2 digits to the right. That is oddly specific.
Very. He claimed that if you focus the inquiry there, if you trace the I feeling back to that spot, you eventually hit a current. He called it svarana,
Which feels like what?
a rhythmic throb or a magnetic pull that connects the chest to the brain. It's a frequency, not an emotion.
So the goal isn't an intellectual answer. The goal is a physical short circuit.
Yes. It's like a dog chasing its own tail. The mind tries to find the source of the mind, and in doing so, it collapses. It dissolves into that current.
It's a powerful image. But I want to pivot back to the man himself. Because if this method creates a perfect being, why was his life so full of drama?
That's the unvarnished truth part of our dossier. We tend to think enlightenment means everything goes smoothly. Ramana's life proves otherwise. The ashram years were messy.
Let's talk about the robbery in 1924. This story blew my mind.
So a group of dacoits armed bandits break into the ashram. They think, he's a guru, he must have gold hidden under the floorboards.
Right.
The devotees naturally grab sticks to fight back. Ramana stops them cold.
He lets them break in.
He commands his followers, we are sadhus, we do not punish. Let them take what they want. He sits there calmly while the robbers beat him. He takes a strike to the leg that marks him for life.
And then? The notes say he offered them dinner?
He did. Before they left, disappointed because there was no gold, he offered them food.
Okay, see, that's where I struggle. Is that enlightenment, or is that being a doormat?
From our perspective, yeah, it looks like passivity. But to Ramana, the robber, the stick, the pain, and the food were all just modifications of the same self.
So resisting would be,
Resisting the robber would be like your right hand fighting your left hand. It would be the ego asserting itself.
that is extreme nonviolence. But it caused issues with the management, didn't it? The dossier mentions his brother, Chinnaswamy.
Ah, yes. This is the nepotism controversy. His brother, Chinnaswamy, took over the ashram management and ran it like a dictator. He was litigious, aggressive, and treated old devotees poorly.
And Ramana the sage, the one everyone is worshiping, just watched this happen.
He watched. He refused to intervene. He even signed legal documents that solidified his brother's control, which enraged the social reformers of the time.
They must have asked him why.
Oh, they did. They asked, "Why do you support this injustice? Why don't you stop your brother?" And his answer,
What did he say?
"I have no will. Things happen according to their destiny." It's the witness stance taken to its logical extreme. He didn't own the ashram, so he wouldn't fight for it, even if it meant his brother ruined the vibe.
It's a hard pill to swallow. It implies that justice is an ego concept, too.
To him, yes. But nothing is harder to swallow than the end of his life. The cancer, 1948.
A sarcoma on the left arm. It started small, like a pea.
And it grew into a cauliflower-like tumor. The notes are graphic. It smelled of rotting flesh. It bled constantly.
And the doctors performed 4 operations. Brutal surgeries. And Ramana often refused anesthesia.
He sat there chatting with them. There's a medical account where the doctors were traumatized because they were carving into a man who was clearly fully conscious but reacting to nothing.
And when his devotees cried,
When devotees cried seeing the blood, Ramana would smile and say, "Where is the pain? The pain is in the body. I am not the body."
that is the ultimate litmus test. It's easy to be spiritual on a yoga mat with a scented candle. It's different when you have a tumor the size of a lemon on your arm.
Precisely. It negates the modern wellness idea that spiritual purity equals physical health.
Yeah.
You see that everywhere now. If you manifest correctly, you'll be healthy.
Yeah.
Ramana was pure awareness, yet his body died a messy, painful death. He refused to use any yogic powers to fix it.
Let's switch gears to something lighter but equally intense. The kitchen.
Ramana spent more time in the kitchen than the meditation hall. He called it the training ground.
Kitchen yoga.
He had a rule, the equality of the knife. When cutting vegetables, every piece had to be exactly the same size.
Is that spiritual practice or is that just OCD?
It was spiritual biofeedback. He said, if you cut the pieces equally, you evolve equally. If your mind wanders, the vegetable cut is uneven. It was a real-time monitor of presence.
So he used the kitchen to teach mindfulness before mindfulness was a buzzword.
Absolutely. And he was obsessed with waste.
The vegetable goddess.
Right. If a cook threw away the prickly ends of an eggplant or the rough skin of a gourd, Ramana would fish it out of the garbage. He'd grind it into chutney. He saw a consciousness in the scraps.
Which brings us to the most famous resident of the ashram, Lakshmi the cow.
Ramana treated this cow like a visiting dignitary. He believed she was a realized soul in an animal body. He spoke to her in Tamil, and she seemed to understand perfectly.
And when she died, this broke all the rules.
In Hindu orthodoxy, animals don't get burial rites like saints. But when Lakshmi was dying, Ramana cradled her head, put his hand on her heart, and sat with her until her last breath.
And he declared she attained liberation.
He declared she had attained mukti liberation. He ordered a shrine built for her.
It just reinforces that for him, the container, man, woman, cow, robber, was irrelevant.
Consciousness is consciousness.
Now, for the listener who is thinking, okay, this is great, but I can't think about who am I because my mind is racing too fast. Ramana had a hack for that.
A physical brake pedal.
A brake pedal for the mind.
Yes. Kevala Kumpaka. Breath retention. It's very simple. If the mind is too agitated for inquiry, say you're having a panic attack, you exhale fully, and then you just wait. You hold the breath out.
How does that help?
He said the mind and the breath are two branches of the same tree. If you stop the breath, you mechanically slow down the metabolic rate of the brain. You force the mind to start.
It's a physiological break.
Exactly.
Well,
Once the mind slows down, then you can use the steering wheel of inquiry.
that's a great tool. Use the body to catch the mind. Before we wrap up, we need to talk about the cinema screen. This is the advanced metaphysics section.
Ajatavada, the theory of non-creation.
It sounds complex, but the analogy he used is actually really accessible.
Think of a movie theater. You have a white screen. A movie plays, let's say it's an action movie. A fire burns down a building on screen. Does the screen get hot? A flood happens in the movie. Does the screen get wet?
No.
Ramana said, you are the screen. The world, your job, your body, your cancer, your joy is the movie. The mistake we make is thinking we are the character in the movie.
So we're trying to put out the fire instead of realizing we're the surface it's projected on.
Right, and that explains his detachment during the robbery and the cancer. If you are the screen, you don't care if the movie is a tragedy or a comedy. You remain stable. You are the substrate.
Which brings us to the final scene of his movie, April 14, 1950.
The death of the body. 8:47 p.m. Ramana is sitting in the lotus position. As his heart stops, something strange happened in the sky.
This is corroborated by thousands of people, right? It wasn't just a rumor.
Yes, in Madras, in Madurai, all over the south, a massive, slow-moving meteor was seen trailing across the sky. It moved towards the holy hill of Arunachala and vanished behind it at the exact moment he passed.
Cosmic sign-off?
Or just a coincidence, but a poetic one, the light returning to the source.
So what is the takeaway here? We have a man who lived in a pit, hacked his own ego, and died smiling through cancer. What does the listener do with that?
I think the takeaway is autonomy. Ramana proved that happiness, or rather peace, is a biological setting that can be accessed independently of your environment.
You don't need to change the world to be free.
You just need to find the one who is experiencing the world.
It's empowering. It means I'm not a victim of my circumstances.
It means you are the screen, not the movie.
And we have a challenge for the listener, something from the dossier called the corpse exercise.
This is the original experiment Ramana did. Tonight, when you lie in bed, don't just drift off, lie flat, don't move. Visualize your body is dead, heavy, stiff.
Okay. A little morbid, but I'm with you.
It has to be visceral. Then ask the question. Now that this body is dead, what is left? Don't answer with words. Wait.
Just wait for the sensation.
Wait for that silent hum of existence that is still there, that amness. Try to locate the part of you that doesn't sleep.
Find the void.
It might just change everything.
And a final thought to leave you with. Ramana always said, the guru is not the body. He said the external guru pushes you in, and the internal guru pulls you in.
Which begs the question, if the outside and the inside are working together, who is actually doing the work?
Something to chew on. Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.